Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Creative Spark. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Emily, and in 2025, I am on a journey to watch as many pop culture films as possible. I am watching 52 movies in 52 weeks, and each week I pick a movie out of this jar. At the start of the year, I made a list of important pop culture films of the last century and put them all in a jar, and I will randomly pick one out each week, watch it, and then review it. Basic concept. But so far, we have watched, I want to say 9 movies. I'm probably miscounting there. But I did fall a little bit behind because for the last 10 days, I have just been supremely addicted to the Wheel of Time. Like, I'm a fantasy girly through and through. I remember watching that show when the first season came out, but didn't get quite invested. I don't know what was going on in my life at the time, but I started again and whoo, was I down the rabbit hole. I watched 2.5 seasons in 10 days, and that's around actually having a life. And just, oh, yep, still on, we're fine. Um, Everything else in my life went out the window. So I did fall a little bit behind on my movies and posting my videos. So, but we're back in it today. We picked a movie out of the jar, and 2 days ago I watched Whiplash, which that is a very intense movie to watch, especially as people who come from an arts background, and especially if you've ever come out of an arts college. The whole thing just gave me anxiety for the whole time. The concept is that this young man is in his first year um, of college, chose the best music program in the country, and he wants to be the best jazz drummer. And this character is played by Miles Teller. And he's so young in the film. This was made 10 years ago. And honestly, I was looking at his face. I'm like, oh my God, you're a baby. After watching The Gorge 2-3 weeks ago when that came out on Apple Plus, which I loved, I was like, oh wow. I was like, look at his little baby face. I was like, oh my God. And he is then there's a teacher at the school that he goes to who is a narcissistic prick, basically. I want to call him another word, but I won't. And anyone who's been through an art school knows these teachers. These teachers who treat you like absolute, who don't give a crap about your mental health and genuinely think that they are doing the right thing by pushing you to your limits, that they're going to make you a better artist. That the best art is created under duress, which is crap. Honestly, I had so many thoughts about this film after knowing I went through a couple of art schools, but I have friends of mine who came out from art schools with so many mental health issues from teachers, genuine teachers who acted like this. And so I had a lot of thoughts about it. I think it was so well done. It was well written. It was fantastic. The acting was phenomenal. The fact that Miles Teller was already a musician before they filmed the movie, but then went into 4 hours of drum lessons 3 times a week leading up to it, played majority of every drum part in that film is phenomenal. And he was amazing. That was some intense level drumming. The speed at which he was moving, I was watching his hands and watching the drums, and you're like, what what is happening? It was so well done. Do I ever think I'll be able to watch it again? Probably not, because the anxiety that it induced in me. No. But I am glad that I watched it. The concept, obviously, is that you have two ends of the spectrum. You have the young kid who dreams of being the best jazz drummer of all time, of not having his name forgotten. He wants to go down in infamy as being the best drummer. And then you have the teacher on the other side of it who wants to create that person. So he talks about how this teacher has a moment where he does a speech on how he truly wants to be the teacher that creates the next Charlie Parker, that creates the next infamous jazz musician, and that he truly believes he's doing the right thing by pushing these kids to their limit, abusing them, throwing things at them, verbally abusing them, like getting inside their mind, finding out about their life, and then throwing it back in their face, like finding their trauma, like pushing them to their limits, bringing in other people. Like there's a bit where he's got three different drummers, like, pushing them against each other. And he has them like rotate trying to play this one particular part, like complicated part, and he'll let them play half a second and then he stops and he goes, nope, not my tempo, get out, like move, you next one, and has these three guys going back and forth on the drums. And he even says it later that he does it so that he's pushing Miles Teller's buttons to make him be the best. You watch as the character plays until he bleeds, constantly. He's got blood blisters all over his hands. You watch as there's blood and sweat on the drum kit. Like you watch the blood, sweat, and tears going into the process of becoming the best. And like this teacher is so horrific and so in his head that, and he obviously wants so much to be the best that he pushes back on the teacher. There's a moment where he goes, they're going to play this concert and he's running late. He leaves his sticks behind, has to run back to get them. And he is desperately trying to get back because the teacher says, if you're not on that stage at 5:30, you're out. It's like 5:27. He's driving back from where he left his drums at the bus station. He gets hit by a truck. His car gets T-boned by a truck by his own fault, I believe. He runs a stoplight and gets hit by a truck. You watch him climb out of this car wreck with his sticks in his hand, a broken hand, and blood running down his face, and he still does not stop. And he runs down the street to make it to this concert. And at 5:30, he sits down on that drum kit and says, I'm fine, and tries to play, and actually can't play because he is just been in an accident. He's concussed, his hand is broken, and he can't actually do anything. And then he lashes out and tries to attack the teacher because the teacher's basically, there's so many, like, just the way the teacher is manipulating these students because he holds all the power. Honestly, you could do a whole deep dive into the psychology of this film and what it stands for and what it means, and also like how people in power in the arts, people in power in any industry, but we're obviously specifically talking about the arts right now, that you cannot get away with that anymore. Like, you cannot get away with, people still do, with manipulating people and emotionally abusing people to get the result that you want out of them. So, honestly, the psychology of the film is fantastic. It was extremely well done, and I would highly recommend watching it. I would warn people who have arts backgrounds and have been through arts college to proceed with caution because it could be triggering. It is triggering, but the acting and the writing and the drama, like the deep dive into this type of relationship is fantastic. Like, just so interesting and to watch. So yeah, that's my first thoughts on it. Honestly, guys, when I record these videos, I don't think it out. I don't make notes usually. I just go off the cuff on what I'm feeling about the film. And sometimes I feel like that's what's lacking when you go and you watch. You want to see a review of a film, or you want to see someone talking about it, and they get into all the nitty gritties, and you're like, did you enjoy it? What did it make you feel? Like, It may not be a perfect cinematic masterpiece, but did it make you feel something? Did it make you think? Did it make you like, what did you get out of that movie? And sometimes you watch films and you're like, I got nothing out of that. Sometimes you watch films and you could do a whole dissertation on it if you spent time and did the research. AKA The Substance, AKA Whiplash. And then there are other ones you watch, like The Birdcage, which you're just like, that was just that was just entertaining. Like, well written, but supremely entertaining. And that's what I want to hear about. I want to hear about what a movie made you feel rather than what you think the critics want you to say. Because sometimes critics say things about films and you're like, that has nothing to do with, like, I watched that film and I loved it. Critics gave it a terrible score. You're like, what do you mean? Like, it's interesting. I was talking about books with some friends lately while reading Onyx Storm and what the difference is between people who think what great literature is and what people consider, sorry, my leg's going to sleep, what people consider to be like junk food reading, easy reading. But if there are hundreds of thousands of people lining up to read your next book on the day that it's open at midnight and it becomes a phenomenon, you as a writer, you have done your job because you have have appealed to the masses, but you appealed to so many people that you have people invested in your characters, invested in your story. And that's what should be great writing. It may not be the most literary writing. It may not be the most, like, it may not be the most, sorry, perfectly written book or perfectly written movie or TV show. But if you have people still talking about your work 10 years later, I mean, look at the rom-coms of the late 90s and early 2000s. Those movies are still talked about today. Are they the best written things ever? Probably not. But they made you feel something. They made you feel nostalgic. And you are still watching them. There are a generation of people still watching them today. I think that will be the same with these books or these movies. And these are like what make pop culture movies important, is that most pop culture films are not necessarily the best critically acclaimed films. They become critically acclaimed later when people will not stop talking about them. It's about what's going to stand the test of time and what had you so invested in the movie that or the piece of art that you feel like it changed you on a molecular level, or it's going to stay with you until you're old. Wow, I went off on a tangent, but I had a thought and I just ran with it. I just ran with it. So anyway, that's my that was my roundabout way of me talking about Whiplash. And I'm going to wrap this up here. That's where we're going to finish for today. I have drawn a movie for today because I am a week behind. And today's movie is going to be Breakfast at Tiffany's. I've never seen it. I've seen classic clips from it. I know it has some not controversial, but like inappropriate racial situations, which is a little concerning to watch. But it's also Audrey Hepburn's like most classic film. So besides maybe, I guess it's maybe up there with My Fair Lady, that I'm aware of. But saying that, I will never forgive them for like taking that role from Julie Andrews. At the same time, I will, because if she had done that, she wouldn't have done Mary Poppins, and she wouldn't have won an Oscar, and she wouldn't be the queen that she is. Everything happens for a reason. Anyway, say hello, poet. Hi. I don't know what she's doing. She's entertaining herself. Oh, she wants Mando. I have these squishies you got at Woolies of all the Marvel ones. This is Mandalorian, and they're squishy, and she loves to play with them. You want it? There you go. Anyway, we're going to wrap this up here. I hope you have an enjoyable day, and I'm going to see you next time on The Creative Spark, and we're going to be making more videos because life gets busy, and I forget to do things, but gotta love that ADHD. I have a lot of things to talk about. So, I'm going to see you next time, and I hope you have a great day.